What's happening, everybody? Thanks for tuning in again for this week's Tech Talk. Places, everybody. We're going to be talking about all kinds of good stuff. I'm Ryan Bowman, of course, from Connect Us, joined with Brian East. We're part of the, I don't know what they call us anymore. I think we were the dynamic duo. Now we're the bearded duo. You know, it's a crazy life over here on the data team. But yeah, we got some really cool subject. Specifically speaking to cellular routers today, placements and just all types of little nuances and tools and things that we've learned over the years to help our customers, to help our partners understand some best practices when it comes to deploying cellular and wireless routers. So, Brian, I'm going to let you take it away.
Absolutely. All right. Howdy, y'all. So today's as Ryan says, our topic today is called Places Everybody. All right, and what it translates to is how we get in a home environment or even an office environment, how we get that cellular connection and translate it to Wi-Fi coverage that covers the entire space that you need it to, the whole building, the whole office suite, whatever the case may be, right? And so you'll see here, we've got the house, we've got the Wi-Fi signals everywhere, we've got the cellular tower over to the side. Now, it's time to get a little confusing. Who wants to get confused?
I think I'm always confused, but...
Yeah, right? It's like default for me. I'm married. This next slide, what the frequency to networks.
Nice.
What that means is that your cellular router is actually dealing with two networks simultaneously, right? And it is the focal point of those two networks. The first one coming from the outside, from your outside building, outside of the building is the cell tower, or in multiple cell towers. You know, we talked in an earlier episode about carrier aggregation and using different cell towers simultaneously. And then we've got our router that collects that signal to bring it into your building. But how does it push that signal throughout the building? It uses a couple of things, right? So you can connect it into a switch that has Ethernet cables all over the place that can connect to computers and, you know, through the walls into wall jacks, printers, you name it. But more and more people are depending on Wi-Fi, right? Wi-Fi, you know, the percentage or the ratio of wired to Wi-Fi connected devices is constantly being shifted to wireless, right? If it isn't wireless right now, it will be. And if it is wireless now, it's being used wirelessly. If it can be wireless, it will be. So the idea is, how do we get that signal all over the house, all over the office? That, a lot of times, your cellular modem is also a router, and it'll push off a Wi-Fi signal. Not all of them, but a great number of them do. But a lot of times too, that especially in large houses and in larger offices, maybe warehouses, industrial plants, you name it, that signal does not propagate as far as you need it to. There's dead spots. You know, the far end of the building is, for a lot of your customers that are rural internet users. Out in rural America, property values are not as high, as costly, so people can generally afford larger houses. You know, in middle of Idaho, you know, 1.4 million will get you something small in San Francisco, but in the middle of Idaho, that translates to a giant house. Well, the bigger the house, the bigger the location, the harder it is to get Wi-Fi everywhere. But there are solutions to that. And so what we're going to look at is two things. One, where is the best place to put your router? And two, how do we get that Wi-Fi everywhere we go? So let's look at the next slide here. The key important thing, the number one important thing, is putting that router where it gets the strongest cellular signal. The rest can be ad-libbed. The rest we can fix internally. But you can't replace a good cellular signal. You want either the router itself or an antenna that connects to that router in the best possible cellular grabbing area that you can. Because how fast you can get stuff going, internet in your house, in your office, depends 100% on how fast of an internet connection you've got to your cell router or to your cell towers, right? So you can have really awesome access points in your house, and if your cellular router is in the basement and it's not connecting to any cell towers, those access points are worthless. So we look at a small apartment, for example. You put your cellular router somewhere near a window, you know, if you live in an apartment, and then it pushes off Wi-Fi, and that's plenty. That's going to cover your 1,200 square feet, however many square feet you've got. Typical Wi-Fi access points start at around 2,500 square feet, larger in many cases. So once we've decided where we're going to put our cellular router based on or you know, our antenna, based on the strongest cellular signal, then we have to turn our focus to how do we get that Wi-Fi that this thing is creating all over the house. And that's where we first determine, all right, well, where is the router enough? Is the Wi-Fi on the router enough? And if not, we have multiple options, right? There are network extenders, there's network repeaters. My favorite is to use what's called an access point. And you'll see it in this diagram here, in this cartoon picture. An access point connects to your router via Ethernet cable, sometimes PoE, like we talked in our last episode last week, and it will then act as another of the same Wi-Fi network as another node to push Wi-Fi out. So it gives as strong, sometimes stronger of a signal coming from it as it does from the original router. And this is how you're going to get that Wi-Fi signal all over the place. We at Connectus will do, for more complex scenarios, we'll do site surveys to determine, all right, where's the best location? Can you get away with putting a router inside of the building, or do we need to run an antenna up to a window, a high up window, or even outside of the building, mounted on top of the building? Does it need to be an omnidirectional or a directional antenna? We'll go into that a whole lot in other episodes, but we'll figure out the best place for the router to go, and then we have to go and do a site survey portion that talks about what kind of access points do you need, if you do need them, and where do you place those to get maximum coverage. If you have two access points too close together, what happens is they send off the same signal, and you know, it's all waves, and you've got what's called destructive interference. The same wave combats the same wave. Huh?
That sounds really bad.
It is. It is. It looks like you have a super strong signal, but these two are fighting each other and canceling each other out. Ryan, do you have anything to add so far?
No, I mean, again, coming from my background with cellular, it is so important. You hit it already, that your signal strength is a direct correlation to your bandwidth. And so it is vital. I mean, the better your signal strength, if you get the antennas outside or anything, the better bandwidth you're going to have, the better experience your customers or our customers are going to have. It's perfect.
Yep. And the last thing to reiterate or to expand on is that more access points does not necessarily translate to better coverage. You want to find the right number of access points in the right spots to get just the right coverage. Again, too strong, they cancel each other out. Not enough, you've got dead spots. Finding that sweet spot that matters. Ryan, back to you.
Yeah, and the translation here again, and one of the things I always think about also, in addition to with businesses, it's so interesting how, so the building blocks of IT, and then you add cellular into it, and cellular's got its own little nuances, right? As we talked about, signal strength, and these are things that you don't typically think about with a wired network, right? You have a cable or a Fios or a fiber optic or a dedicated line coming into your building. You don't have to think about do I get good cell signal? And the traditional building blocks, going back to that, is that also means most companies have built an IT closet, usually in the basement or somewhere in the middle of a building, right? It's the exact opposite place that you want a cellular router. It's the place you don't want to put that there. So kind of building upon this and that's exactly what Brian's talking about is, come to us. We know exactly what we're doing. You find that place, and it's a process where we run, Ethernet cabling or what it looks like. But there are definite ways that we end up not putting sometimes the cellular router in the IT closet. And the reason for that is exactly what we just talked about. Like your signal degradation is just not there. I mean, it's just bad signal. So, so those are things to think about. I almost feel like that's why we exist some days at Connect Us, right? We're here to help customers understand a little bit more of the nuances that happens with cellular technology. There is some incredible benefits to being able to have cellular run your internet services and your backup and your primary internet connectivity. But it also comes with caveats that you need to be prepared to understand how to deploy it so it gets deployed successfully and there's a great experience there instead of why is this not working as advertised. So yeah, it's pretty awesome though. Pretty incredible, I think, in general. Like there's just multiple things in life that always impress me, and I just stare at it like airplanes flying in the air. It never gets old for me. I look up and I see this huge airplane, and connectivity over wireless is the same concept for me. I'm just always impressed with, I'm going to put this thing, plug it in, powered over Ethernet, however, and it's just grabbing, waves out of the air and like giving me ridiculously fast speeds, 100 meg, 200 meg, 300 meg down. It's awesome. Super exciting. So,
yep.
So yeah, so thanks everyone for tuning in. Again, as always, keep checking out our social media platforms, what we're doing in the community, Brian with the unboxing videos in his library, which is amazing, may I say. He's read every one of those books, which is really incredible. But I would not put it past you. So anyhow, yeah, keep tuning in. Let us know if you have anything. Put something in the chat if you want. We're always looking for great ideas and conversations and topics to chat about. Our goal here at Connect Us as well, Brian and my goal is, I live by this rule that we should try to take complicated things and make them simple. We can't always do that with everything, but man, it is so nice when we can. Not everything has to be crazy rocket science complicated. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to make some things simple for everyone to understand. And yeah.
One last thing.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to comment, I would be grateful. I'm looking for my next video game to play.
Okay.
I've been into like Skyrim, The Witcher, Assassin's Creed. I played the Jedi Fallen Order, which was a lot of fun. The different Spider-Man games. If you got anything in mind, just let me know. I'm at a loss.
There you go. I'm out on this one. I have. It's probably been a decade since I played a really good video game. So
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart's always a classic. Always good stuff there. So all right. So yeah, comment, chat, let Brian know what to start playing, and we will check you out next week. Have an amazing day.
All right, guys.
See ya.
Even if the strips are